To our next panelist, Saira Shah Salim, who's also with us. She's a social activist. Saira, I'm coming over to you with this question because it has to do with the treatment of communities. A number of activists have argued that instead of introducing moves like this, because communities in Assam that will be affected by this move will be the particularly impoverished ones, instead you should introduce wide-scale education. To this, Saira, what do you have to say?
It very clear when the CM of Assam is saying that polygamy exists. Let me make it very clear that amongst the indigenous communities of Assam, especially the Muslims, it is non-existent. We have seen how, the scheduled caste, which is at 2.4%, and the scheduled caste, it is 1.6%. The percentage is much higher than the Muslims or the Hindus, because Muslims, the percentage is about 1.9 and Hindus about 1.6%. Here I want to ask Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, what has he done with AFSPA? He had promised that it will be banned by the end of the year. Now again, Assam as a state has been running on loans after loans after loans. So this is not good governance. Now I want to talk again that the Assam form of governance is a double-engine governance, which has destroyed Assam's economy. Now, the CM of Assam is also the convener of NEDA, which is the Northeastern Democratic Alliance. Now, what has he done about Manipur? He even taken a single stance in Manipur. He ensured that there are measures taken to quell the tensions in Manipur. I'm sorry, he's not taken. And here I've already listed the statistics as far as polygamy is concerned, because it is a non-existent issue. And this clearly said, this has been done, he's doing this to polarize the communities just before the election. And I think unfortunate, because he doesn't have any ground to stand on. Here, the state is running on loans. He's the convener of NEDA. He's not taken any solid stand on Manipur, whereas Manipur is still burning. There's no respite. Other than that, it has been clearly said that the indigenous communities, especially the Muslims, the instances of polygamy is non-existent.
Right.
So what is he talking about banning polygamy? It is non-existent. It is a non-contentious issue. And he's simply raking up these issues to communalize and polarize a forthcoming election. He should be asked, when is he doing away with AFSPA? Because he promised it in his agenda that by the end of 2023, he will do away with AFSPA.
All right, Ms. Halim, can I just... One second, ma'am. I now need to go to the other speakers. Thank you for making your point, and thank you for raising those questions and pointing to the numbers. Let's go over now to Ashwani Dube, who's an advocate for the Supreme Court. Sir, A, would you like to respond to what ma'am had to say? And then question two, if I could ask you to also frame this entire conversation in the larger UCC debate. But do that, sir, later. First, just respond to that.
See, look. See, first we have to see the legislative competence of a state, whether the state is having constitutional provisions to make a law where the certain practices which has been derived from the religious scriptures should be banned or not. Now I will take you to the few years back when triple talaq hearing was being done in Supreme Court. Supreme Court says triple talaq we are banning as of now, but so far as the rest of the practices like polygamy, nikah halala, nikah misyar, nikah muta, various other forms of the marriages and the divorces which are not codified. They said that we will take the religious scholars' view on this issue and we will discuss it. Now coming to the other aspect. Article 44 is the soul of our constitution. Article 44 says that the state will make rules for the betterment of the state. Principle of state policies are not enforceable by the courts, but hold a significant importance in shaping legislation and government policies. Two laws exist in this country. One, where there is a codified law which deals with these kind of marriages and divorces of Hindu, Christian, Hindu, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists. And another law, codified, not codified, arise from the religious scriptures, which is violative of Article 14 of the Constitution, which guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of law. Article 14 prohibits discrimination on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, enables the state to make special provisions for women and children. Article 16 guarantees equality of opportunity to all citizens. 21 guarantees life and liberty. Then why there should be discrimination among the women and men? Article 25 very categorically clarifies the freedom of conscience and right.
Please summarize your point, sir. If you could very quickly summarize your point, because I do want to move on. Give us the point you're trying to make, sir, in 2 lines.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a within the legislative competence of the state to make a law. Whosoever is crying and saying that no, starting, why are you deviating from the issue? See, our constitutional framers, when the constitution debate was going on in the Constituent Assembly, Article 44 was left over. It was given to the states to implement it and make a law at a suitable time. Now suitable time has come. If one state wants to make the laws where the uniformity
so,
is...
But we're not having an argument about whether or not the state can legally do this or not, sir. We're trying to understand whether or not this is actually good for the population within the reasons that the Chief Minister is stating. No one's arguing whether or not it can be done right now, sir. Let me very quickly take our audiences to some data points on the screen next to me. All right, let's take a quick look at the history of the Chief Minister. There is this argument that opposition leaders in the state have put forth that if you take a look at the history of this particular Chief Minister, there are a number of moves that he's done that have persecuted unfairly certain communities. Number one, the madrasa audit, in which the state-run madrasas were made into regular schools. Something very similar to this was actually also done in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the child marriage action, this is the one we talked about a little while earlier. This was in February when you had a statewide campaign launched in which people who had already engaged in a child marriage were either arrested, and in many cases, you even had a few, less than 100, but you did have a few cases of women being arrested too. You had women turn up at police stations protesting because they argued that even though they had a child marriage, their one bread earner had been taken away by the law. And then there is obviously the conversation we're having right now around a polygamy ban, which is the state government setting up an expert committee, as you can see over here, and the state committee going ahead and submitting its report. That's what happened earlier today. Now, what happened in the madrasa audit case? 600 madrasas were closed and madrasa teachers were held. In the child marriage action that we saw play out earlier this year, as we already told you, about 3,000 arrests took place. This was under the POCSO Act. And the polygamy ban, as we just told you, 4 members are going to be deciding on enacting the law. All right, this is the controversy as it exists, and that we wanted to illustrate for you is